Francesca Albanese is the UN Special Rapporteur on the Palestinian territories occupied since 1967. She told Michael Holmes what she thinks about Israel's leaflet drop, warning civilians in Gaza City to evacuate or risk being seen as partners to terrorists.
I just hope that your viewers appreciate how unlawful all this is. You cannot tell civilians that if they don't leave a given area, if they do not abide by a mass evacuation order to where north to south of Gaza is being bombed, there is nowhere to go, and there are sick people, elderly people, there are families with newborns, there is no fuel to move around. Where do you want these people to go? And it's absolutely outrageous to equate anyone who doesn't move to terrorists. There is this powerful dehumanization of the Palestinians in Gaza that emerges clearly from Israeli official statements, but is also not fully appreciated by the leaders in the West, who continue to rally around Israel and its right to defense. This is not right to defense, Michael. We are far beyond what could ever be allowed as a right to defense. There are limits in international law. Any action must be proportionate and respect the principle of distinction, precaution, proportionality. There is nothing of it.
Well, aid organisations are calling for unrestricted access to Gaza, saying in a joint statement from the UN that time is running out to help the thousands in need of medical assistance. CNN's Salah Abdelaziz shows us the dangers that come with this growing humanitarian crisis. Her report includes disturbing video.
Hospitals in Gaza are crumbling. Everything is running out, from surgical equipment to medicine. And the tiniest lives are left hanging in the balance. We need power. We need access to clean water, this doctor says. Without basic services, this will be a humanitarian catastrophe. Already, 7 hospitals and 21 primary healthcare facilities here are out of service, according to Palestinian officials, because of shortages. After intense diplomatic efforts, prayers of relief at the Rafah border crossing, as a trickle of aid was allowed in from Egypt. But the 20-truck convoy is only a drop in the ocean of need here, equivalent to just 3% of what entered this enclave daily prior to the conflict. More than 200 additional trucks of assistance remain stalled on the Egyptian side, according to the UN, and every hour costs lives. And so far, no civilians can leave the enclave. 10-year-old Palestinian-American Aiden is among those trapped.
And we have no place to go. All the streets are bombed. They're literally gone. How are we supposed to go out? I mean, how? It's all closed.
Even if people are allowed out, it will be a limited number, most likely only those with foreign passports, sealing some 2 million others, half of them children, into this hellscape. But some refuse to go, even if they could, fearing Israel intends to bomb and besiege them out of their homes, never to return. Even as Mahmoud buries his children, he says he will keep fighting just to exist here. We will still be patient. As long as we are alive on this earth, we will be patient. He says, we will never leave this land. After the October 7th terror attacks, when Hamas killed more than 1,400 people in Israel in a brutal surprise incursion, Israel vowed to wipe out Hamas. But with hundreds of airstrikes pounding the densely populated enclave a day, innocent blood is being spilled. Innocent children were struck down while they were sleeping. This woman shouts, "What did they do? Did they carry weapons? These are innocent children who know nothing. Tell us, when will this end?" There are calls for a ceasefire to get civilians out of the war zone and allow more aid into Gaza, but the pleas fall on deaf ears so far. Israel is preparing for the next phase of its operations, a potential ground incursion that can only bring more suffering. Salma Abdelaziz, CNN, London.
Nabal Fasak is a spokesperson with Palestine Red Crescent Society. She joins us live from Ramallah in the West Bank. Nabal, great to have you with us. Aid distribution delivered Saturday was a drop in the ocean. Explain to us the conditions that Gazans are living under and the humanitarian catastrophe that is unfolding.
So for the 16th day, Gaza has been under intense bombardment, whether residential buildings, homes, schools, hospitals, even places of worship have been under intense bombardment. The situation in Gaza is just heartbreaking and overwhelming. It can't even be described. 2 million Palestinians now are stuck either in their homes or in schools or even at hospitals where they take shelter without having food, water, and even without electricity. All those Palestinian civilians are in urgent need for every basic humanitarian need, which is only food and water. And this is literally what is happening. People now are spending days without having a piece of bread. As for the hospitals, unfortunately, hospitals are overwhelmed. They are working on full capacity. They start running out of medicine and medical supplies, as well as fuel, which is needed to have electricity, because they are completely relying on backup generators to have electricity. On top of that, up to the moment, 7 hospitals went out of service, either due to the bombardment or because they ran out of supplies, as well as 24 medical centers went out of service. We have around 24 hospitals now under the threat of being bombed at any second due to the Israeli evacuation orders. One of them is our hospital, Al-Quds Hospital. We have received threats to evacuate Al-Quds Hospital immediately because it's going to be bombarded. Up to yesterday,
Nabal, if I can just jump in, there.
20 trucks.
Nabal, if I can just jump in there, because you've hit on a point that I want to ask you about. Israel is calling on the evacuation of your hospital, Al-Quds Hospital. It obviously treats hundreds of patients. You have lodged 2 appeals to no avail. What is going to happen?
Yes, as you mentioned, we have a call on the international community for over a week to stop the evacuation order, simply because we don't have the means to evacuate our hospital. We have around 500 patients who are currently in the hospital, many in the intensive care unit. Most of the people in the intensive care unit, most of the patients are with critical injuries. They are children who were bombed due to Israeli bombardment. We don't have the means to evacuate them safely. If we are going to evacuate, that means the killing of the patients. Not only us, even the WHO have stated that evacuation orders for hospitals are impossible to implement, and they constitute a death penalty for patients. That's why we still count on the international community to intervene immediately and stop the evacuation order. We don't want to witness a second massacre as what happened at Al Ahli Hospital, which was one of the hospitals that has received the evacuation order from the Israeli occupation forces. That's why we still count on the international community to take action ahead and stand for humanity, stop attacking medical care facilities and hospitals. Hospitals should be protected.
Nabal, I know you have your organisation. If I just interrupt, you've said that humanity is on the line, and you are appealing for the international community to stop what obviously will be an airstrike if the Israelis are asking you to evacuate. But why is the IDF targeting your hospital?
As I said, not only our hospital, is around 24 hospitals in the targeted area where Israel has warned the people in Gaza and the north to evacuate themselves to the south. This decisions, evacuation orders, not only for Palestinian civilians, it also includes hospitals, which are around 25 hospitals. Only one of them in the south, the rest 24 are in Gaza. And Israel has issued these evacuation orders, forcing hospitals to be evacuated from Gaza, which, as I said, WHO, all international organizations, even us, have said repeatedly, we don't have the means to evacuate hospital. This is impossible, will risk the lives of our patients. Taking into consideration that at our hospital now, we have over 12,000 civilians, most of them are children and women. Those who were unable to evacuate themselves to the south due to continuous bombardment, and there is no way for them to go because there is no transportation, complete destruction of the infrastructure and roads. So they just sought refuge to the nearest hospital. They came into our hospital as a safe shelter for them. But unfortunately, this is not the case because now we are under the threat of being bombed at any moment because of the continuous Israeli threats to bomb Al-Quds hospital, demanding immediate evacuation. We can't even do it. As a humanitarian organization, we can't put the lives of our patients into danger.
No, of course not. Nabal Fasak, we certainly appreciate you joining us from Ramallah to explain to us what Gazans are going through. And we've just got a wire saying that the Egyptian Red Crescent is expecting more aid to come into Gaza later today. Let's hope that transpires. Nabal, thank you for your time.